Good evening and welcome to East St. Paul Planning Meeting, June 25th, 2024. Before I call the meeting to order, I just would like to say a few words about our East St. Paul Day that we just had on the weekend. I'd like to obviously give our respects to staff who did an amazing job putting it together. We couldn't have done it without you. And to the community who came out in herds, I mean, it was amazing to see. I was a little, thinking, oh, how's this parade gonna go? And we turned the corner to go down Hodnot and you just saw the crowds of people lined up. And I thought, oh, that's so amazing and so great to see the community coming out and supporting and having a great day. So hats off to our staff and to the volunteers. And of course, to the community that came out and had a great day, because everybody looked ecstatic. Does anybody else would like to say anything about our first East St. Paul Day in many years? Councillor Duval?
Yeah, I echo that, but with a particular note is that this being the first one, it is always the hardest one, because you're starting fresh with everything. They'll get easier as each year goes by, of course, but the first one is always the toughest and the most stress. So with all that, our staff carried it off just great. Yes, they had a lot of help, but they were the driving force, no question about it.
I agree. I heard nothing but great things from the people, my neighbors, and the people I ran into at the festivities. So well done.
Yeah, and I'll just add that Councillor Imhoff's wife and friends, neighbors, decorated their golf cart and it was incredible. It was so good. So it gave us the idea that next year we'll have a prize for the best float. So we'll do something different with the parade. Councillor Posthumous?
I totally agree. It was amazing. The kids had so much fun. I had my granddaughter there. That's all she's still talking about it. From the phone to Thomas the Tank Engine bouncer to the animals. It was just amazing.
Don't forget the cotton candy.
Yeah, the cotton candy, mayor, and although I think they made 3, 8, 1, but they were having lots of fun.
We were eating a lot.
Any of it. Oh, if I never see it again, it'll be too soon.
And to our CAO who did hot dog sales all day, I was
yes.
said, "Do you need help? I'll train." No, I'm enjoying this. It's fun. I'm having a great time. So yeah, to all of our staff again, it was, especially being the first one. I didn't make it back in the late afternoon because I had another commitment. We have some family grads and stuff going on, but everything went well. Other than, I guess, the drones didn't happen, but maybe next year. And again, thanks to all the staff.
Yeah, no, it was all good. I think you guys have covered it all.
And just to add to the surprise that one of our firefighters was a wrestler. And when I saw wrestling on the agenda, I thought, oh, how's that gonna go? But it was a pretty great show and the kids loved it. I think the adults loved it because, of course, all the adults who have small children grew up with wrestling on the television, right? So it was nice to see and experience that in person. And I can tell you those guys, they're actors and they're also extremely physical with each other. So I'm sure, they have to go home and have a hot bath, but they do a great job. And the community, as much as they were, oh, there's going to be wrestling, they all enjoyed it. It was so good. Yeah, so good. Okay, so with that, I will call the meeting to order, the time being 5:35. We have an amended agenda and we amended adding 10.4.3 Community Safety Officer Operating Agreement Amendment. So have the resolution to adopt the agenda.
You resolve that the agenda be amended as follows, adding item 10.3 Community Safety Officer Operating Agreement Amendment.
I have a mover, please. Councillor Posthumous, seconded by Councillor Imhoff. All those in favor? That's carried. The agenda is now adopted. Item number 4, confirmation of the minutes for resolution.
Be resolved that the council meeting minutes of the May 20th, 2024 planning meeting be approved.
I have a, mover, please, Counselor Duval, seconded by Counselor Horechko. All those,
I have a comment.
you have a comment?
Yes, confirmation of minutes. I notice. This is for May 28th. Item number 911, which was the sidewalk in Swistun Park on PTH 202. There was a resolution in that meeting that was moved and seconded. But the minutes don't show that resolution at all. It was item 9.1 of May 28th.
Look into that and get back to that.
Yes, of course. Following that, though, there was no vote on the resolution either, and of course, that doesn't show in the minutes because it never happened. So I believe resolutions, once they're moved and seconded, have to be dealt with one way or the other.
I do believe there was a seconder.
Seconder was the mayor, actually.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
I'm not asking for any particular action or remedy right now, but we'll have to.
I would have to pull out the original resolutions from the vault and then amend the minutes.
Yes, of course.
We don't need to approve them tonight, obviously, correct? So, in order to do that.
Thank you.
We need a resolution to table, or how are we gonna handle?
Correct.
Okay,
So we have a mover and a seconder, or we just need the vote?
you don't need to reread the resolution because the
Be resolved that the council meeting minutes of May 20th, 2024 planning meeting be tabled to the next council.
okay, so moved by Counselor Duval.
Minutes, yes.
Yes, yeah, and seconded by Counselor Horechko. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Opposed? Did you say in favor? I didn't see your hand.
Not paying attention. What are we voting on? The resolution?
To table.
Oh,
To table the meeting minutes until the CAO can look into Counselor Duval's question.
Okay.
Are you in favor?
Yep.
Okay, so it's carried. Okay, we don't have anybody this evening in delegation. We have some public hearings. 6.1. This public hearing was already heard and we tabled the decision. So I don't need a resolution. I will ask that,
I can do a quick recap.
yeah, Santan provide us a quick recap.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, council. So just a bit of a recap here. The subdivision involved a couple of properties on Broadshill Road. The original intention was to rezone these two properties and subdivide them into 13 new lots ranging from 2 to 2.5 acres. This was the location map, the properties along Broadshill Road. This was the original subdivision application map. As you can see, there were a number of pie-shaped lots and a 100-foot road going in. At the last public hearing, the council requested the applicant to revise the layout of this map. This was the summary of the proposed lot as per the existing SAM. So you can see lots 4 to 10 did not meet the width requirements because of their pie shape. And this is the revised layout that the applicant has sent to us. As you can see, the lots have been reconfigured and reoriented to be more rectangular in nature. There's also a walkway and a green area proposed on the northeast corner there, connecting to the floodway. And this is the summary of the proposed lot as per the revised layout. So all the lots now meet the required 2-acre requirements and 150 feet width requirement. So just to reiterate, the council gave third reading to the rezoning application and left the public hearing open for subdivision and tabled the hearing. and told the applicant to revise the layout. The applicant presented the revised layout with reconfigured lot shapes that meet the site width. If the council wishes to approve this application, they would still be approving the original SAM. Therefore, we recommend that you add a formal condition of approval specific to the changes that are reflected on the new concept plan. With that in mind, these are the conditions of approval. And condition number 9 has been added, which states that applicant owner revise the SAM to reconfigure the shape and orientation of lots 3 to 8 from the current pie shape to rectangle lots that adhere to the site width requirement, add a walking trail and a green space between lots 9 and 10, and extend the road to the southern property line. And that is it. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions for our planner? Okay, can we have the applicant come up? First off, I'd like to thank you for going back and reconfiguring, because obviously the plan is more compliance and it met all the requirements the council had recommended. Would you like to say anything to the new plan?
Yeah, thanks again for the opportunity to work with you on this one. The new plan that addressed everything that we went over at the last meeting. I've got the list there. This slide. My name is Andre Friesen from Landmark, but I should mention that as well. So as the planner mentioned, we were tasked with reconfiguring the pie-shaped lots. That's done. There's only 3 now. Just how it has to be for that corner, but they all meet the minimum site width requirement.
Can we bring up
number 2 as well?
You bring up the new plan? Thank you.
There we go. Second one is that the design should include parks and open space, and actually, if you keep on flipping ahead, it's fine. Yeah, so that was number 1, reconfigure those lots. They all meet the minimum site width now. Next one on the list, no variance is required. Third one on the list, design should include open space circled there in the image. So what we did, what the council last time mentioned, it would be nice if there is access to the floodway, to the existing trail network there. So we've included access and then a passive park allow access to that area. And then also showing design should include potential locations for entrance signage. That'll be part of the development agreement in terms of the specifics, but there's a significant amount of space up front to locate a sign. The applicant or the property owner would be more than happy to with council on that. At the public hearing a couple of weeks ago, one of the neighbors came down with a few questions. I actually spoke with him right before the hearing on my way over here. He mentioned that he wasn't aware that the subdivision was taking place or that his neighbor's land was being included. And we put together this plan just to demonstrate how his land could also potentially be used as part of the subdivision application, just to demonstrate how it could play out. As council can see, the area that's shown with the hashed red line, that is the property owner that was at the previous public hearing. That is his parcel of land there. So we've incorporated it into this design. What ends up happening though is you end up with an additional 2 lots, I guess, or an additional lot. However, you have to build a road to get to that lot, which wouldn't really be very, very efficient in terms of design, and also the property owner, their lot with the existing dwelling would be non-compliant with on-site wastewater management regulations. So basically, they'd have to decommission their existing septic field, switch over to a holding tank. And I think the overall lot configuration in terms of the yield is exactly the same, but you have to put in a road. So you add a road for no net lots. So we've been over this with them, and I'm not going to speak on his behalf, but he was fine with that plan with that way. Yeah, this guy's any additional questions. Again, thank you very much for letting us work with you on this one.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I don't.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody here that was part of the public hearings?
Harry says there's no one online either.
Okay, great. Is council now prepared to be public hearing? Okay, for resolution, please.
Be resolved that council approves subdivision S 243045, subject to the following conditions. Applicant owner submits confirmation in writing from CEO of the municipality that taxes on the land to be subdivided for the current year, plus any arrears have been paid or arrangements satisfactory to council have been made. Payment of any applicable development fees have been paid. A development agreement with the municipality has been entered into to address items included, but not necessarily limited to lot grading, roads, drainage, building restrictions, parkland dedication, capital levies and development fees, waste removal, fencing and landscaping, and any other standard the municipality deems necessary. The owners obtain a permit from Manitoba Transportation and Infrastructure Roadside Development for the intensification of use public road connection onto PR 202 and for the removal of the existing accesses onto PR 202. Please be advised that as part of this permit, the access onto PR 202 for lot 1, plan 67325 will be relocated to the new public internal road. Applicant owner submits written confirmation to the Redwood Planning District from Manitoba Hydro and Central Gas that an easement agreement has been entered into with the department with respect to existing and future facilities associated with the subdivision and plan of easement as required by the Real Property Act has been provided. Applicant owner provide a written confirmation that the Heritage Resource Protection Plan has been implemented as reflected on the correspondence from Archaeological Assessment Services if required. Applicant owner submits written confirmation to the Planning District that Bell MTS that an easement agreement has been entered into with the department. Applicant owner submits written confirmation to the Planning District from Rogers Communication that an easement agreement has been entered into with the department. Applicant owner submits written confirmation that the drainage and water rights licensing license to construct water control works for the subdivision development proposal has been obtained. Applicant owner obtains the required variance for site width of the proposed lots. Applicant owner rezones, receive a third reading to lot 2025. The proposed lots from R5 to R2 to accommodate the proposed lot sizes. Applicant owner revised the subdivision application map to reconfigure the shape and orientation of lots 3 to 8 from the current pie shape to rectangular lots that adhere to the site width requirements. Add a walking trail and green space between lots 9 and 10 and extend the road to the southern property line. The applicant shall provide a copy of the SAM to the Arms Community Development Planner for approval prior to registration at land sales.
Just because they don't have either.
Just been informed that condition number 8 will be removed, which read applicant owner obtains the required variance for site width of the proposed lots.
Right. Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Duval, second by Councillor Imhoff. I'll open the floor up for discussion. Okay, I'll just to ensure that the community has an understanding that this subdivision is not affected by the moratorium because they're 2-acre lots and they have no services to the lots. And once again, I just want to say that it's great that the applicant heard council's concerns, corrected them in a timely manner, and council was satisfied with the outcome. With that, I will call for the question. All those in favor? It's carried. Okay, so now on to 6.2. Of the resolution to open the public hearing.
Be resolved that council open the public hearing of council for variation order 43/2024 at 3774 Waugh.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Posthumous, seconded by Councillor Parechko. I believe it's your community, isn't it? Okay, all those in favor? That's carried. Public hearing is now open, and I will pass the floor off to Mr. Planner to provide us a breakdown of the application.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This is variance application Rio 43/2024. The subject property is located at 377 Waugh Road. The applicant wishes to reduce the separation distance between an accessory structure and the principal building from 10 feet to 8 feet in the rural residential zone. So this is the variance request table as per section 52.18B of the zoning bylaw. The detached buildings has to be 10 feet clear of all projections from the principal building, and the proposed distance is about 8 feet. This is the location map. The property fronts Waugh Road and is about 2 acres in size. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. The applicant is proposing a detached shed with an outdoor bar. That is about 8 feet from the sunroom that is attached to the principal structure of the house. This is the building plan for council's consideration. Again, the elevation shows that this is a shed and an outdoor bar area. There is a 3 foot and a 10.5 inches overhang. And the applicant has not really declared this, whether this is the distance of the 8 feet distance includes this measurement or not. So maybe we can confirm that. If that's the case, then the separation would be less than the 8 feet because it has to be clear of projections. If the council wishes to approve this application, we just recommend 2 conditions. I've reworded the first condition. This variance is limited to reduce separation distance between the principal and the accessory as proposed in this application. And then if the applicant confirms this variance does not include the 3 foot and 10.5 inches projections as proposed on the outdoor shed and the bar. And the second is the applicant owner obtains all the required permits from regular planning and the RMOP St. Paul. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, council. Do you have any questions? Okay. I only have one person signed and it's the applicant. Can we get the applicant up to speak to the application? There we go. I won't pronounce your last name because I don't want to, how do you say it?
Dashu.
Oh, yeah, I would have never got that. Okay. So just tell me your full name, your address, and then you can speak to your application.
Sure, Kevin Dashu, Waugh Road, so. Yeah, essentially I didn't know of this 10-foot rule, so we're just kind of designing, we've already put in kind of a patio and all those kinds of things, so it's already set. I said if we move up to 10 feet, we would have just moved it the extra 2 feet. Didn't know it's a thing, I guess it was his point, it isn't the overhang, it's really the side of the bar, so it would, or the structure, so it comes from the side, so it's not the projection coming out. It is from the side, and whether it's 8 feet or whatever it'll be, there's I don't know how the exact measurement, 8.5, 7.5%. Sure. It won't be 10.
Okay. Council, do you have any questions for the applicant? Councillor Duval?
Yes, looking at that picture there, which corner of that structure is closest to the house? Is it one of the open corners?
It'll be like, so if you.
Right side,
It's the right side, the image, the single side. On the far side.
It's one of the open walled areas, yeah.
Councillor Imhoff?
And the 8 feet is measured to where on that drawing?
I think it would be, they said from roof line to roof line, so sunroom comes out. And then we tried to, that's from there, so to the far pillar there. It extends out a little bit to the sunroom. So
So the roof of the sunroom and the roof of the structure. That distance is 8 feet or it's 8 feet to the pillar? It's 8 feet. Roof to roof.
Okay, thank you very much. Is anybody online? No, okay, so we don't have anybody else in support and we don't have anybody in opposition. No one for information and nobody online. Is council prepared to close the public hearing? For resolution?
Be resolved that council close the public hearing council for variation order 43, 2024, 3774 Waugh.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horechko, seconded by Councillor Duval. I'll open the floor up for comments. Councillor Duval.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this application. The reason why we have 10 feet between structures is that things can get awful cluttered looking in some residential lots if we don't have that. But in this particular case, the side of that structure that's exposed to the house corner is open. It still has an open view, open feeling rather than a solid building there. So I don't fully support this application.
Thank you.
I'm good.
Okay, so I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Oh, sorry, oh, sorry.
Oh.
We just, yeah, no, didn't we?
Resolution?
Close the public hearing, but we need to read the resolution.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought we read the resolution. Okay,
Yeah.
we just showed our cards. What?
Before the resolution.
Yeah, it's too much cotton candy on the weekend. I got crystals somewhere.
Resolved that council approve variation order 43, 2024, subject to the following conditions. This variance is limited to what is proposed in the application, and any changes will require new variance approval. And that the applicant obtain all the required permits from the Red River Planning District and the Island of St. Paul if required.
Hey, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horechko, second by Councillor Duval. Call for the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Nobody changed their mind? Still passed. Okay, so
You're good.
moving on to the next one.
You can leave, you can leave.
You're good.
You can tell him to leave.
You can stay.
You gotta stay and listen.
Once you're here, you gotta,
There's no hockey game.
Thank you.
Okay,
6.3, resolution to open the public hearing.
Resolved that council open the public hearing of council for variation order 51, 2024 for 74 Waugh.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Imhoff, seconded by Councillor Horechko. All those in favor? That's carried. The public hearing is now open and pass the floor to Mr. Planner.
Madam Mayor, this is variance application Rio 51, 2024. The subject property is located at 74 Mowat Road. The applicant wishes to reduce the minimum rear yard setback for an in-ground swimming pool located adjacent to a stormwater retention area from 50 feet to 28 feet. And reduce the that distance for the principal structure from 95 to 58 feet and 1 inches in the single family housing zone. So the section 66.15 of the zoning bylaw talks about lots adjacent to the stormwater retention areas. And the required is a minimum 50 feet for any temporary structure, including pools, and a minimum of 95 feet for any principal building, and the proposed is 28 feet for the pool and the 58 feet for the existing house. And this is the location map, the property fronts Mowat Road, and there's a retention pond at the back. This is the site plan provided by the applicant. The applicant is proposing a pool in the backyard. These are some pictures from bylaw enforcement during their site visits. So that's the house, and this is the retention pond. And the pool is going to be in the backyard. So just for the council's consideration, this variance request was triggered as part of a permit review process. When the plan review team discovered that the property adjacent to the retention pond is less than what's required as per the bylaw. Red River Planning also notes that the principal building has been there since 2021. And there was an oversight regarding the rear yard requirement for the principal structure as per this section. Which is why we are taking this opportunity to vary that requirement as well, and that has no cost to the applicant. If the council wishes to approve this application, we just have two standard conditions. This is limited to what is proposed in this application. Any changes require new approval. And the applicant owner obtains all the required permits from Red Road Planning and the RM of East St. Paul if required. Thank you. If the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. I do have a question. What are the cross streets to this address?
Deerfield and Mowat.
Pardon me?
Mowat and Deerfield. I just handed out a map with the elevations just for your information, and it kind of shows the.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes,
too.
this is the Kelly Rempel development, right? That's why I didn't recognize the retention pond. I was like, where is this on Mowat?
Yeah, it's not complete.
Yeah, not used to this development.
Your field?
Okay,
Hmm.
is that retention pond in now?
Yeah,
Well, it's not fully.
not finished.
That was my question. Council, do you have any questions for the planner?
Nope.
Yeah, this one,
So posthumous?
yeah, so it being 28 feet. That's to the property line, and then there's another, depending on climate change and rain. To the distance to the water.
Yeah.
Says another like 20 feet or so or something like that,
Probably not that much.
maybe 15. And there's no problem with stabilization back there, or
It's a ground.
no, yet.
Unfortunately, we don't have,
It hasn't finished.
Yeah.
It's,
I believe that pond is at grade. There's no
no, it's just green and they didn't,
changes.
it hasn't been finished or landscape or
No.
grasses or anything. It's just the hole.
I think that the concern, and we've had these come up in the past, and maybe I'll speak to that when I can make my comments. Sorry, I don't have any more questions. Does that satisfy your question, Councillor?
Yeah, the other distance, yeah.
Okay, does anybody else? Councillor Duval?
Yes, Mr. Planner, looking at the satellite picture, it looks like there's about 4 or 5 lots in that little short stretch of that street that would be in the same situation where they would be not in conformance with the rear lot clearance to the structure, to the dwelling, I'm sorry.
Right, they would be exactly in the same scenario. I don't know what the permit applications specify in terms of rear lots, but I'm guessing it would be same. Because the section says either this distance is reflected in a development agreement, or you use the one that's in the bylaw, but there is nothing in the development agreement for these ones, so. Yeah, that could be a potential thing. Over the top of my head, I don't really know what the permit has for these other properties, but it would be the same thing. They would need same setbacks.
Because our front setback is 40 feet, correct?
In this zone, I believe, yes.
50, I think,
Is it 50?
I believe.
It's 40.
Yeah. It's 4 feet, yeah.
40, yes.
It's 40.
So yeah, if the time comes, then Red River probably would follow the same procedure and not charge these landowners, like we didn't charge them this time for the variance application.
Hmm.
But I can't clearly speak for sure if that's the case with the other properties.
Well, we'll discuss that at our discussion period. Councillor Imhoff, do you have any questions?
No, not right now.
Councillor Hurachko, any questions? Okay, we'll move on to the applicant. Our last 2 individuals in the crowd. Would you like to come speak to your application?
Hello,
Hi, just provide your name and address for the record.
my name is Chantel Holowani and my address is 74 Mowat Road.
Thank you. Okay. Now you can speak to your application.
Okay, perfect. So, yeah, we're looking to just put a pool with required setbacks that we had sent you guys. And at the back of the yard, we're gonna build berms in the landscaping as well, just to help with some of the drainage as well.
Okay, that brings a question later. Do we have any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you. Wayne, would you like to speak to the application as well, or are you good with the presentation?
She said.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we will close the public hearing. We don't have, do we have anybody online? No, so no one in opposition, no one else in support, and no one for information, nobody online. So I'll have the resolution to close the public hearing.
Be resolved that council close the public hearing of council for variation of 51/2024.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Imhoff, seconded by Counselor Postumus. All those in favor? That's carried. The public hearing is now closed. And for resolution, the
Be resolved that council approve variation order 51/2024, subject to the following conditions. This variance is limited to what is proposed within this application, and any changes will require a new variance proof. And that the applicant obtain all the required permits and approvals from the relevant planning district and the Island of St. Paul if required.
I have a mover, please. Counselor Postumus, seconded by Counselor Parechko. I'll open the floor up for discussion. I don't know if Counselor DeVal was telling me something there or not.
Just looking at some of the dimensions of the property in these lots. Question for perhaps Mr. Planner, but just the dwelling now, what I'm talking about, the rear side yard is 95 feet in this location. From the dwelling to the property line of the rear is 95 feet.
As per the bylaw, yes.
Front setback is 40 feet.
Right.
Okay, so 95 is about 135 feet of clearance, front plus back.
That's only if there's a retention pond.
Well, in this particular case, that's.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. The lot length from front property line to rear is 188. So that leaves only about 50 feet for a house. And it has to be precisely located.
Right.
To conform to both. So kind of makes it impossible to do anything on those lots within the guidelines.
Right, and that kind of stems back to the zoning bylaw requirement. It says, perhaps for that reason, address these things in a development agreement. If they're not addressed, then use these requirements. So we checked the agreement and these things were not addressed. So clearly there was an oversight at that time. And again, during when we issued the permits. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
So just to note, all the communities who back onto a retention pond have to adhere to this bylaw. And we've had this presented to us in the past, and we've mainly in my history have denied, and we've approved a couple, I believe. So this is something that falls because of the retention pond, and the reason for that is the retention ponds not to flood into the pool. So we have talked about this bylaw in length in many other applications and in the time that I've spent on council. Counselor Postumus?
Yeah, we've had them Gateway Point where it's more flat. We weren't allowing them, but we did have a couple on Pritchard Farm Estates where they're close to the walking path, but they built it up higher. And there's not a retention pond, but a creek. The applicant was stating berms. So I'm guessing that part would be.
You have to speak to us. You can't speak to the applicant.
No, where would we add that in? Because that's my only problem with climate change. You can see there may be more lots in the future going in behind. If that all is going into that lake or pond, how high it comes up is you don't want it going into the pool.
Actually, the berms cannot just be created. There has to, if they want to change the drainage plan from the existing home, they have to redesign the drainage plan and then have that approved through engineering and through operations.
Okay,
I don't foresee that berms would be permitted, behind, for the simple.
So you can't change the elevation.
Right, because the development would be, and I've not seen the drainage plan, but I'm guessing everything would be planned to drain to the retention pond, right? That's why they're created. And so probably they wouldn't want anything to hinder that drainage. But there are some fancy ways of creating drainage within a yard, and that's up to engineering, not up to us. And if the applicant chooses to do that, they can submit a new drainage plan.
okay.
And just for correction, we have approved one in Pritchard Farm properties, but we did deny one as well. Councillor Duval, I think you have something on your mind.
The distance.
I do. I'm not sure what it is, but I do. That drainage pond would be, now we don't have a drainage plan here. I know I've never seen it. But what area would it drain? Would it be just the lots around it?
Yeah.
It wouldn't drain anything from across the other side where you can see the little corner of the other side. No, it wouldn't drain anything to the bottom right. So the only land that will drain supposedly is those, well, currently 5 lots and potentially 5 more on the other side, or 4 more on the other side, and that would be it.
Exactly.
Correct. You can see that the grade is from road to backyard is going down, so everything is planned to drain to the retention pond from the lots.
Right.
Anything further?
Nope.
Councilor Duval, you're still looking like you have something.
Well, we made reference to some of these applications similar to this along the creek. Now, I think the stability of a creek bank is a lot worse than the stability of this little.
Yes.
We were never, when we made decisions, we were never considering stability of the bank. That would have been up to the applicant. You have to remember, this is their yard too. We made decisions based on the bylaw to not go against the bylaw, to not have the potential liability of the retention pond draining into the pool. And if you think about it, Pritchard Farm properties, because I live on one of the retention ponds, most of the houses are higher, considerably higher than the retention pond. So it was an argument that I made with council through one application that the house and the grade was up here. There was no risk of the pond draining into the pool, but we still denied the application that night. So maybe this is something that we need to reconsider our bylaw moving forward and have discussions around the bylaw. It's an old bylaw, right? Correct? What year was it created?
2009.
2009. So we might want to look at that bylaw and make some adjustments. Okay, are we prepared to, okay, so now I better check. I have a resolution. I have a mover and a seconder. Good. Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Well, that's it. Are you staying or are you leaving? We got nobody. Okay, I'll let you off the hook.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, so that ends our public hearing, so we will be safe to our plan.
Not me, I'm staying.
You're staying, great, Kara. We have one person to.
Oh, hang on.
Oh,
Yeah, you can sit there. That's fantastic. We don't have anything under bylaw, under policies, under finance, 9.1 for resolution.
You resolve that the schedule dated 2024 amounting to $5,660.
I have a mover, please. Posthumous, second by Councilor Horechko.
Good night.
9.2 for
it's that time. Look after that here.
Schedule of accounts paid since the May 14th, 2024 meeting of council amounting to $660,921.16 be confirmed as paid.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Duval, second by Counselor Imhoff. All those in favor? That's carried. 9.3 for resolution.
Be resolved that the net payroll and council indemnities for the area of East St. Paul for May 16th, 2024 to May 25th, 2024 amounting to $337,573.58 be approved.
Mover, please, Counselor Posthumous, seconded by Counselor Duval. Call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Nothing under general business. Under planning, we have 10.1.1 for resolution.
Whereas the Riverview Planning District is currently responsible for enforcement activities with respect to zoning bylaws within the RM of East St. Paul. And whereas it would be expedient and in the public interest for RPD to ensure that all enforcement options are available pursuant to the municipality's general enforcement bylaw, including the ability to add all unpaid enforcement costs to the tax roll. Now therefore be it resolved that in accordance with clause 15(2)(d) of the Planning Act, council authorizes and delegates authority to the Riverview Planning District to utilize the bylaw when enforcing planning bylaws within the municipality.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Posthumous, seconded by Counselor Horachko. Madam CEO, can you just, for clarification, because I know now that we have our CSOs, we want to make sure that the community is understanding that RRPD has and always will enforce our planning bylaws.
Yeah, they enforce our zoning.
Correct.
Anytime that they enforce, whether it's to remedy a contravention, under the zoning bylaw, this resolution would allow them to collect the fees for enforcement and apply those fees to the individual's tax roll.
Okay, thank you. And just for clarification, because I know there is some confusion in the community with maybe some misinformation, is that our CSOs have taken on the role of Prairie Bylaw that used to enforce our bylaws. And Prairie Bylaw does no longer enforce our bylaws other than the animal control. So we don't have the CSO and Prairie Bylaw. We only have the CSOs. And when we did have Prairie Bylaw, we always still had RRPD who was enforcing the zoning bylaw. So I just want to provide that clarity tonight, because it was an opportunity when it was on the agenda to provide that to the community. Okay, does council have any questions in regards to the resolution?
It's good.
Okay, so I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, 10.1.2.
Here resolved that council hereby adopts the Birds Hill Road design guidelines as presented by Scatliff Miller Murray.
Okay, can I have a mover, please? Counselor Horachko, seconded by Counselor Posthumous. I will open the floor up for questions. Okay, so
Through it all.
Sarah, would you like to just provide us a little bit of a recap? I know you sat here, so.
Yeah, I'll just read off my little report here.
On the mic.
Purpose. Oh, sorry.
I'll just recap the purpose of the design guidelines. So the Birds Hill Road design guidelines will guide development in the study area, which includes properties fronting onto Birds Hill Road between Bracken Avenue and Agar Avenue, as well as portions of Hodnut Road between Birds Hill Road and Marconi Trail. Design guidelines are an excellent tool to shape private and public investment in the streetscape over time and to improve aesthetics, entice visitors, and attract additional investments. Since Burns Hill Road is an important route in the community, not only as a transportation route, but as a destination in itself, will be beneficial. They will also be utilized by the Red River Planning District for their update to their zoning bylaw.
Okay, so basically, moving forward, East St. Paul with new development would like to see that anything happening in our town center meets certain requirements so that we can create a village atmosphere for the future.
Exactly. And of course, this is a long-term plan, right?
This is a long-term plan. These things take time.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're not implementing this to property owners. We're as changeover, as permits come, they now will have some guidelines to meet.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. Council, do you have any comments or questions for our planner? Nope. Okay, so call for the question. All those in favor? And that's carried. I assume you're leaving us too now.
I can stay.
No, it's okay. Go home. Okay, under operations, 10.2.1.
Resolve that council approves the award of the contract to for the installation and one-year maintenance of landscaping at Swistun access pathway at a cost of $49,725.13.
Hey, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Duval, seconded by Councillor Imhoff. I'll open the floor up for questions and comments. Councillor Postumus.
A couple things. The CEO's comment that there was $30,000 for sod and it was allocated to this project. Was that just 30,000 to cover the landscaping design, or was there money left? So the landscaping design cost $30,000.
But the $30,000 would be allocated to include the design, and if anything remaining, let me know that towards the
To
actual.
go towards this. Okay, and it was originally $22,000 budget, now we're at 50, so we're like close to 30 more. The only question else I have is, did we look into any grants? Cause I know St. Clement's got like 6 last year, and some of it was landscaping and interpretive. They have a pond by their new senior center that they built, and they're like, they got lots for that. This was on the Trans-Canada Trail, so it probably would have been covered. And especially since it's part of being accessibility, when I phoned Trans-Canada Trails, they said it probably was 100% covered. So I just did our community services look at any possibility for grant money. Because we're, another 50 on top of 150, that's $200,000.
Community services actively sourcing out grants for different projects within the department. Most of them are listed in my CEO report that I provided to council. A lot of those grants we have yet to hear back from. But I will follow up with them.
Yeah, if they did the because that path is definitely the Trans-Canada Trail, that's the entrance into it. So would have been able to access that, because I heard they had money left over from last year.
Sorry,
That's my only.
Trans-Canada Trail? It is in the park in the bottom?
Yeah, that's the right on Trans, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I thought it was just the.
No,
Just up at.
no, it comes along the floodway, down Garvin and enters the park.
Okay,
Goes through the park, comes back up onto the Birds Hill Road, and then you can cross and go down the Marconi. So yeah, when you go to the Trans-Canada Trail, it shows the park.
well, I think that
There's even signs there by the
can still-
say Trans-Canada Trail.
Proving this doesn't.
No, proving this doesn't affect it. It was just a question on that.
No.
We had looked at them.
I think that we're always looking at grant opportunities.
And we haven't started the work, so it's a
Still be eligible.
it's a 2-page thing that they have that you can say, you know,
Did you provide that to staff?
we've had it before. I can get it from them.
Well, if you could provide it to staff, if it's something that you're aware of,
Accessibility trail.
isn't aware of,
Okay, I'll see it.
great if you could provide it. I mean,
Yeah,
it'd
and see if their intake's gone.
be better if you provided it to staff.
Yeah, okay.
You know, the trail, the path going into the park was done last year. And we do have to get some plating in there to complete it. Councillor Duval has something to say?
Yeah, Madam CEO, just to clarify, these dollar amounts, the original contract with Maple Leaf included $30,000 for them to put in sod. Okay, now it was decided that we needed a little more than just slapping sod all over the place, so we eliminated that from their contract. And now this overall cost that we're looking for today is about $50,000. But in a sense, that $30,000 has already been approved. So we're looking for an extra $20,000 to do a little extra, more than a little extra than just sod. And the recent heavy rains showed that we need to do something a little extra than just sod. Because it washes out certain places around the corners and so on and so forth. And this plan shows the riprap in those tender areas as we can see.
Correct, and we,
You're saying we're only adding another 20 grand.
Exactly.
yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, we budgeted for this in our budget?
22,000.
Okay, so then I'm gonna,
Oh, I have one more.
Sure.
But the way I read this here, the 30,000 got used up on the landscaping design. It says here that was allocated and paid for the landscaping design, this design that we see, it had to be paid for. There may be some left. We don't know the exact amount that the landscaping design cost. What I read here, that's what it said.
where are you reading, Charles, so that we
Uh,
understand what you're coming up with?
I had read it earlier. On CAO's notes, at the bottom, added comments, an allocation of 30,000 for the installation of sod. However, it was determined the park would benefit more thoughtfully with the design landscaping plan. Therefore, the funds were relocated from Maple Leaf Construction to engage a landscape architect for the purpose of this design.
And this amount would have been under $20,000
Yeah.
because I would.
So there's still some left over.
Likelihood that there is over $10,000 remaining from that 30 towards this is,
Okay.
Mhm.
So if there's 10 left over and we had 22, that's 30 some, so we're still only 20,000 more.
Great, okay, I'm gonna call for the question, if everyone's prepared, call for the question, all those in favor? That's carried. Okay, under utilities, 10.3.1.
resolved that council approve the recommendation as submitted by Dillon Consulting and award the second water distribution line project to Nelson Construction at a total cost of $1,063,360 plus applicable taxes.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Horechko, seconded by Councillor Imhoff. Any comments, questions?
Rock and roll.
Yes, I agree. Councillor Duval.
Yeah, in light of what's going on in Calgary, I don't think there's any doubt of what we should be doing here.
Thank our Director of Infrastructure for.
Well, and we have to thank our CEO for taking on the role of,
Touching this.
yes,
Yes.
touching this and moving it forward and not skipping a beat in the lack of stuff. So we thank you very much for this moving forward. And it's fantastic to know that we have put in measures that if there ever is an issue with our water, we have another line to provide to our residents. So with that, I'll call for the question. Oh, somebody wants to say?
I was just gonna add that it's not often that we get projects, even with the revised bid that come in under our engineering estimate at the beginning, so well done.
Yes, well done. Well done, Suzanne.
It's potato chips that Suzanne have.
Yeah, I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, and then 10.3.2.
Be resolved that council approves the recommendations outlined in the engineering assessment of status for the following clarifier repairs. Replacement of leaf arms and scraper blades by Progressive Machine at a cost of $37,000. Sludge removal and tank cleaning by Unigen at a cost of $5,000. Replacement of the 16-inch tank flange with a split ring flange by a Progressive Machine at a cost of $3,000. And an estimated contingency of $13,000. Total budget for these essential repairs to our wastewater treatment plant is $62,000.
Okay. Can I have a mover, please?
Here.
Councillor Postuma, second by Councillor Duval. Open the floor up for comments and questions. Councillor Duval.
Yes, this must be done. I think it's a very cheap cost to buy some more time that we very critically need here. We all remember those horror pictures that former infrastructure director showed us of the conditions. Once they drained everything out to have a good look at everything, it was alarming. My only question is this clarifier arm, the new one, going to be aluminum or stainless steel, or is there any specification on that?
I answer that at this time, but
I'm sure it's something we may ask.
I'm sure.
So if it's just carbon steel again, with some kind of an attempt at coating it, I don't think we'd want to go that way.
Well, and maybe it has to be for strength.
Yeah.
Well,
For the professional.
Yeah. The professionals will know, right?
the design, it'll be designed for strength according to the material you use, period.
Correct, but it's not for council to say that we
No.
can't use. That's the type that
Yeah.
they want to use.
No,
Well, I'm not prepared to make that decision. I'm gonna leave it to the engineers.
correct.
Councillor Duval?
One of the performance criteria, especially an item like this, is corrosion resistance. The other performance is, of course, the strength just to hold the integrity of the arm together. They both have to be considered. And you can make it out of either material. And physically make it, but if one is corrosion resistance, then it doesn't pass the muster. Aluminum isn't quite as strong as carbon steel. Stainless steel is even a little stronger than carbon steel. So if we demand aluminum material just for the corrosion resistance, then yes, it'll have to be thicker flanges perhaps and wider pieces and so on and so forth, but it'll still be designed with the proper structural strength.
Well, and I'll remind you that this is a temporary fix because we do plan to have a new plant. And it's not something that needs to last us for 50 years, right? So this is a fix to keep our facility moving and not having a breakdown. As we saw that the clarifier arms are Swiss cheese and we want to make some changes. And I'm happy to see that the cost is considerably low and that's great. And, I wish we would have done this prior. So I'm glad that the CAO took it upon herself to ensure that our wastewater treatment plant is getting repaired and that we can sleep at night a little bit better, knowing that we potentially won't have an issue with our clarifier. Any other comments?
Yeah, I saw it when it was drained down and it was basically Swiss cheese and Stantec's people that are on this, I believe it's Cybo, and that they know, they have good knowledge on it and they would know what is made to fit onto that properly. And they also know our timeline also. So yeah, it was like basically strung together. So I'm glad we're doing it before it does break and then we're stranded. So, and I'm surprised at the cost because I thought it would be more, but that's great. I
Counselor
support it.
I have no problem with the repair that they're recommending on the clarifier arm, but one of the other things they identified was an urgent repair needed was the media pack in the RBC wheel 6. And they provided cost estimates for that. I don't see that in here, and my question is, was it already identified and budgeted for and it's in the plan, or are we covering this out of this year's operating? Because if they're identifying it as urgent, it probably should be addressed at the same time here, right?
According to Stantec, they're addressing the one that requires immediate attention, and then once the verifier arms are done, we will revisit. Because these were budgeted.
Okay.
The repairs were budgeted at this time, so we are pulling that reserves from the utility reserve.
Okay.
I'm just going to do a report here, and it does say that we recommend that the stainless steel blades should be replaced with carbon steel.
That's the blades.
Yeah, carbon steel.
And then my second question is, I'm assuming that we're going to adopt their additional maintenance recommendations on that they've got here as common practice for us now. Okay.
Okay, so I'll call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried.
I feel much better.
Under general, we have 10.4.1 for resolution.
Whereas the winter of 2023 brought alcohol precipitation in parts of southern Manitoba, along with repeated bouts of record-breaking warm temperatures, shattering many long-standing records in December and February, followed by significant and unusual rainfall events in the spring of 2024. And whereas these weather events have resulted in saturated road bases and washouts, making it extremely challenging and costly for municipalities to maintain gravel road networks in adequate condition. And whereas these weather events have caused significant damage to gravel roads throughout southern Manitoba, making it difficult and expensive to maintain the integrity and usability of gravel roads, which are essential for the connectivity and economic stability of these communities. And whereas the financial burden of repairing and maintaining these roads has placed a significant strain on the budgets of southern Manitoba rural municipalities. And whereas the province of Manitoba has previously committed to building more sustainable and resilient communities through meaningful partnerships and financial agreements with municipalities for services such as gravel road maintenance. And whereas the Disaster Financial Assistance Program by the Manitoba Emergency Management Organization provides financial assistance for uninsurable losses to essential property, which includes infrastructure such as roads. And whereas the municipal budget for repairs is insufficient to address the extraordinary costs incurred for gravel road repairs and maintenance due to the severe weather impacts. Therefore, be it resolved that the Association of Manitoba Municipalities urgently requests the province of Manitoba to provide disaster financial assistance to rural municipalities in southern Manitoba, specifically for the purpose of gravel road rehabilitation and maintenance related to the damaging effects of 2023-2024 winter weather and spring fall events.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Duval, seconded by Counselor Imhoff. Any questions or comments?
Nope.
Imhoff?
I think that resolution had quite a bit packed in there and covered pretty much everything.
Yes, it's great to see municipalities working together and great things come out of going to FCM, getting together and networking. So thank you, Sue. Okay, I'll call for the question then. All those in favor? That's carried. Uh, 10.4.2.
Be resolved that council approve sponsorship to the 15 team members of lacrosse at the Lacrosse Canada National Championships in Regina from August 13th to 17th for the following. Jerseys, $500, social media and website recognition, $500, small or large banner sponsorships, $200 or $400, and platinum team sponsorship package, $2,000. Including all of the above, plus a team jersey signed by all players and the team photo opportunity for both the team and Manitoba Lacrosse Association social media.
Can I have a mover, please? Don't have a mover. I've never not had a mover. So we're not hearing this. Okay, we're moving on. We're not hearing this tonight.
We don't do.
For anybody watching, if I call for the question, there's not a mover and not a seconder, then the resolution does not go on the table. It is not considered. So we are moving on to the next resolution. Okay, 10.4.3.
Be resolved that council approve the amended operating agreement for a self-funded community safety officer program. And be it further resolved that all members of council be authorized to sign the operating agreement and the letter waiving section 22(1), which states that each party has the right to terminate this agreement at any time without cause, upon providing the other party with at least 90 days notice in writing of its intention to terminate this agreement. Termination is effective on the date of notice or such other date. So this clause is being presented because we are amending a new operating agreement to include section 9.5 of the HTA and any further updates as they come along that process.
Okay.
Great. Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor Postuma, second by Councillor Horachko. Any comments or questions? Councillor Imhoff.
So the section 95, that is the speeding?
Correct.
Okay, and just so that we're all clear, that was originally proposed and approved by the legislature, but when they wrote the regulations, there was an oversight and they left it out. This is just correcting that error. Am I right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay, call for the question. All those in favor? That's carried. That's all our resolutions tonight. We have business arising from delegation, no delegations, correspondence. So I'll just go to our monthly activity report from our CSOs. And just to note, 52 people in our community were stopped for rolling through stop signs or not stopping at stop signs. So obviously we've had lots of complaints about that over the years, and now we have a way to enforce it. So I hope that our community starts stopping at those stop signs and then we won't have to stop them. Does anybody else have any comments from the report?
Over there.
I'd just like to quickly comment, that's a very nice report, very easy to read and very informative.
It is, yes. And Councillor Duval, you must be very happy because they gave out 26 tickets for no truck route.
Yes, I am. In one sense, yes, but in another sense, I'm just kind of a little disappointed that there's still so many truckers going down there. Because they've been at it for a little while now, and I know this is a May report, I believe, but
You know, in defense for the truckers out of province,
Mhm.
and I'm not standing up for truckers. Google Map doesn't tell us that it's a non-truck road. Some of these guys coming from out of province, that's what they go by. Yeah. Then they're stuck when they're on there, they go, well, I better get through here and I get busted. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, so, and I brought that to council attention several years ago, is that Google Maps does not tell you non-truck routes. And you're right, when out of town drivers, this is the route that they're provided, because they're all using Google Maps.
Oh,
And I talked to a few truck drivers to confirm it. And of course, once you got a 53-foot trailer behind you and you're committed to a turn, there's no chances of you changing that. So it would be nice if Google's listening, that they update their program.
but I was speaking to one of our local truckers, Mr. Almayer,
Okay, yes.
and he's on the Trucking Association of Manitoba. I says, you guys as a group should get on Google.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's not necessarily always our fault.
So I'm just wondering, that's an app. I'm gonna make an app.
Yes. It could be happening.
So-
Well, well,
Not Devlinville, Devlin app.
you're first.
So if I'm not mistaken, Google Maps uses what, there's an open source, I don't know if it's just called open source or whatever, but municipalities and traffic authorities can report segments of roads that need to be changed in the source. So it might be wise to assign maybe someone from our operations or whatever to just look into, because I know that there were several, you know, with the highways that had to be, some conditions need to be changed on them or whatever. So there is a way of getting that to them.
Mhm.
And if it comes from, a lot of times they need so many verifications and so many reports from citizens. But when a traffic authority or an agency sends the stuff in, it gets corrected rather quickly. So we should be looking into doing that. The other thing is, they still have to look for signs. So if the signing is not adequate there now, we should be looking to maybe enhance it just a little bit. Put a couple, you know, maybe we need a couple extra further down Springfield and further down the perimeter. You know, I mean, when you come off the perimeter, it's there. You can, I mean.
I know it's there.
Yeah, so they're still required to see the sign, right? Or, you know, to pay attention to the sign. So there's a little bit on them too, right?
Oh, no, for sure. And we fought very hard for that sign.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We didn't have a sign for many, many, many years. I think we just got it last year, right?
And just while we're talking about these reports here, I would be interested to see when we start getting speeding data. I mean, I think it would be good for our community to know a couple times how many like utterly crazy stops our guys have to make, whether it's the RC or whether it's a community safety officer, because I've heard a couple horror stories already about how fast people are going in some of these low speed zones, and it's absolutely insane. And having our guys out there is a huge benefit to maybe, you know, at some point people maybe get the message and we'll slow down.
Sure, we can't agree more with you, Counselor Imhoff. Anybody else want to make a comment? Oh, okay.
Sorry, today.
Moving right along here. Everyone saw that we got our operating grant.
Mhm.
And then we have Manitoba Good Roads Association. Counselor Imhoff sits on that committee.
Petition.
Maybe I'll chime in quickly on that.
Like to,
So, there has been, especially for the home grounds competition that they have, they're particularly low in nominations this year. So, we've been asked if we have someone in our municipality who has a fantastic home grounds or whatever to get them nominated. They're going to extend. It was June 21st. I believe they're extending it a little bit. So if we have someone who we'd like to put forward, it's probably still not too late.
Not somebody, but I could go double check that.
Yeah, I believe the municipality got a copy of the requirements for the judging and that stuff. I think that went out. So You can find out, make sure they check the majority of the boxes.
We wondered if you.
Yeah, we wanted, well done.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've done my part as a board member.
Yeah. So maybe I can just ask that if a counselor has someone in their ward that they could put forward and put them forward this week. I think we all have someone in our ward. We have tons of beautiful landscaped yards in our community. So we can definitely find someone to move forward. Okay. And of course, we're moving forward, Plan 2050 document is moving forward to its
It was sent out twice.
to public hearings, and we've sent that out through our e-blast.
Yep.
If anybody would like to attend and speak to the document.
Yeah, I saw that it came through. My home one also.
And then there's golf.
Yes, on this plan 2050, there's a public hearing already scheduled for July 25th.
25th.
Yeah. At Polo Park, anyway, the notice went out. Should there be any kind of communication and explanation from this council to our residents of what this really is? Because what do people understand about it, quite frankly? Plan 2050 is, and you just can't say, oh, they don't know, of course, but you just can't tell them, well, go look it up on the WMR website, because the whole thing is there. And it's a huge document that is very hard to follow and understand, especially it is for councilors, never mind for residents. So should there be some kind of briefing put out so that people understand of at least the implication of it and the what it really means in the short and long term for this municipality?
We could,
Okay, not hearing anything, we'll keep going. 2024 Eastern District Municipal Golf Tournament. Who signed up, right? You want to sign up? And more golf, so that wraps that. I think we have in camera this evening, so I'll have the resolution to move in camera.
Be resolved that council now moves camera as per section 152(3) of the municipal act, discuss with against development matters. And it further resolves that all matters discussed while in camera are turning to confidential as per section 83(1).
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Duval, second by Councillor Beaver. That's carried. We will now move in camera. Council is coming out of in camera, and I'll have the resolution to do so.
Be resolved that council now moves out of camera and resumes the regular council.
I have a mover, please. Councillor Hurechko, seconded by Councillor Postumus. All those in favor? That's carried. And now the resolution to adjourn.
Be resolved that the meeting be adjourned at time 7:28 p.m.
Have a mover, please. Councillor Hurechko, seconded by Councillor Imhoff. Call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? You didn't vote, Charles.
Oh, sorry.
Are you for? Okay. Okay.
For me.
Carried. We are now adjourned.